And how about those Devils? How about those Devils? And how about those Devils? How about those Devils?
How about those Devils? Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And Frank the Tank just said it so eloquently. I think I'm going to have to give my man Frank the Tank the tweet of the evening. He just tweeted out a few moments ago, Jack Hughes may not own the golden goal puck, but he absolutely owns the New York Rangers. And wow, well said by Frank the Tank. The New Jersey Devils, winners of 2 in a row, looking to make it 3, headed across the river into Madison Square Garden, taking on the New York Rangers for the second time this season. It's insane that we had to wait till March 7th for the first matchup. Devils handled them at the Rock. We are now in their barn at Madison Square Garden. And what do the New Jersey Devils do? They go in and lay the smacketh down on our hated rivals, beating the New York Rangers decisively by a score of 6-3. And for old time's sake, and I'm doing this just for some of you guys, and I feel a little dirty doing it. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little dirty doing it, but I try to be a people pleaser. The people had called for this. And so you're going to get the full gamut tonight. You're getting the full package. But I must ask, I must know.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? God, I wish we were a playoff team, guys. Nights like tonight would feel so much better. It still feels amazing. Obviously, anytime we could go into the Garden or even at home and beat the Rangers, it feels special. Jack Hughes is electric against the New York Rangers. I believe they said he now has a 14-game point streak against the Rangers. Absolutely love to see it. Jack just, what can we say about Jack, folks? I mean, the whole puck thing I've talked about and fought people online. That's a topic for another day. But coming back from the Olympics, Jack Hughes on and off the ice looks like a new man. I mean, I talked about it at length going into the tournament, all of the reasons why I thought, going to the Olympics is a great thing for him and for many other players. And it honestly paid dividends that I think we couldn't even have dreamed of. I mean, this guy looks like he's playing with entirely new confidence, handling the media a lot differently. His overall demeanor just seems a lot different. It seems like he did mature a lot, and his ownership of the New York Rangers rolls on. I mean, unbelievable stuff from Jack Hughes and the rest of the boys tonight. We get to the game, Devils dominating early. I think like midway through the period, it was like 12 shots to 1 or something. The Rangers had like 1 shot for the first 13, 14 minutes of the game. And then on the second shot, what do you know? A far out shot with traffic in front seems to be the Achilles heel for both the New Jersey Devils and our boy Markey. A lot of traffic in front. I think the puck did change directions a couple times, but Gavrikov at 15-20 gives the Rangers the 1-0 lead on their second shot on goal. And, I know people are going to be ragging on Markey. Like, listen, obviously not a great game for him, but Rangers up 1-0 at 15-20. And then less than a minute later, in a beautiful display on the power play and a beautiful display of a lot of things. We cannot sell this goal short. This goal had a lot of things involved. Nico down low, puck pops up. He's in position for the baseball bat swing. He waits for the puck to drop at crossbar level, as you all know. If Nico hastily just rushed it and did a quick baseball chop out of the air with the puck above the crossbar, it would be waved off, no goal, played with a high stick. He's in position, and he waits till the puck just comes down perfectly in line with the goalpost and just boop, 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 a little baseball bat shot in there. And wow.
Pretty, and he lives in Jersey City, number 13, Nico Hishauza.
Nico Hishauza on the power play. His 24th of the season from Connor Brown and Jesper Bratt at 16-14. Tie this baby up at 1. And what a beautiful goal. I mean, he had the mental fortitude to realize what was happening, had to wait for the puck to come down. Hand-eye coordination, just boop. Bops it in there with the baseball chop. Love to see it from the captain, his 24th of the season. And many of you were questioning in the past couple games, can Nico get to 30? I think he does. I think he's going to do it. Obviously, a lost season, and in the end, a personal accolade and doesn't mean much for the overall team, but I do think he'll get to 30, and that will be a nice little milestone for Nico in a tragic season. And then I love it. You guys know I love it. The late period backbreakers at 19-16. Grits makes a beautiful play. He's coming up the wing. I think they weren't sure if he was going to pass, what he was going to do, and he just rips one pass quick for his 13th of the season, unassisted at 19-16. Love those late period goals. Gives the Devils the 2-1 lead. That is how the first period would end, and I was like, all right, didn't like that goal against, but will gladly go into the locker room up 1 against the Rangers. I'll take it. Devils up 2-1. We get to the second, and bad play by a couple guys leads to a Zibanejad just too good of a scoring chance, and he rips it through Markey. Markey gets a piece of his glove at 19 seconds. I hate those two. Mika Zibanejad, Markey's Olympic teammate, rips one through him, ties the game up at 2, and at that point, I think that was actually the Rangers' third shot on goal, if I'm not mistaken. So they had 2 goals on their first 3 shots. Again, not a great game for Markey. I know a lot of people are going to be out with their pitchforks on him, but in the end, Devils bailed him out. But 2-2 early on in the second, we get to the power play midway through the second, and Jack Hughes, beautiful heads-up play, feeds Connor Brown with another little aerial sauce. Connor Brown whacks it out of the air for his 13th of the season at 11:36, assisted by Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier.
What can Brown do for you? What can Brown do for you?
What can Brown do for you? Brown could give the New Jersey Devils a 3-2 lead heading into the third. Devils up 3-2 after 2. We go to the third. Quality scoring chance for the Devils. Cannot convert. Loose puck. And who follows it up?
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Timo Meyer. People talk and smack on this guy all season long, and it's been underwhelming for him and for everybody else. But Timo Meyer at 6:29 gets his 19th of the season, assisted by Paulie Cotter, puts the Devils up 4-2. Love to see Timo stick with it. Obviously, a rough season for Timo. You guys know I'm a Timo guy. I will never partake in the bashing and the criticisms. I do believe, like many others, he has been misused, underutilized, whatever you want to call it. Again, another topic for another day. But Timo Meyer, love to see it. Gives the Devils the 4-2 lead. And a few minutes later, because the Devils can never coast to victory easily, Connor Sheary cuts the Devils' lead to 4-3 midway through the third. And that's when I will say one of the nicest shifts I can recall in a while. Jack Hughes just dancing all over the blue line and just kind of faking people all over the place. The elusiveness and the craftiness of Jack Hughes with the puck is certainly something to behold. And look no further than this shift where he was just dancing and shaking guys. What a beautiful sequence of events by Jack. Makes a pass, then he cuts back to the middle and just rockets one pass quick. His 18th of the season, assisted by Shimo Nemitz and Connor Brown, gives the Devils the 5-3 lead. And then at 16-22.
Jesper Bratt, tit-a-tat, where my boy at?
Jesper Bratt pads the lead. 6-3 Devils, assisted by Dilly and Jack Hughes. Another 3-point night for Jack. I mean, guys, whatever it is about the New York Rangers, I think Jack Hughes just has to pretend every team we play is the New York Rangers because he absolutely destroys this team. Whatever it is about the Rangers, Jack Hughes brings his A++ game. We get to the game stats. Devils out shooting the Rangers by over a 2-1 margin. 39 shots on goal for the Devils to 17 for the Rangers. Devils getting the slight edge in the faceoff circle, 51.6% to the 48.4% for the Rangers. Devils 2 for 4 on the power play. Love to see that. You know, that's kind of been a pain point for a big portion of the season. Get it done tonight. 50%. Go 2 for 4. Penalty kill perfect for the Devils as the Rangers go 0 for 2 on the power play. Devils 14 hits, Rangers with 25 hits. Devils 14 block shots, Rangers with 10 block shots. Devils 18 giveaways, Rangers 22 giveaways. Devils 4 takeaways, and the Rangers with 5 takeaways. And win or lose, we booze, guys. Victory drinks tonight. Third game in a row with victory drinks. Oh, when it hits your lips. And it's so much better against the Rangers, despite both of these teams being in the basement of the standings. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to New Jersey Devils. Cheers to Jack Hughes continuing to own the Rangers. And it's victory drinks for everybody tonight. Always a good night when you're sipping on victory drinks. We look at some player stats here before we get into your comments. Nico Hischier, a goal and an assist for a 2-point night, 3 shots and a block. Connor Brown, a 3-point night. Come on down, Connor Brown. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points for Connor Brown. I'm sure he's loving life playing with Jack Hughes, man. Jack is just feeding him and feeding him well. Connor must be loving it and love to see him thriving in the spot. We got Timo Meyer with a goal, 5 shots, 2 blocks. What else we got here? The assist for Paul Cotter. Jesper Bratt, another 2-point night, a goal and an assist, 2 shots, 2 hits. Grits with a goal, 2 shots. Jack Hughes, a goal, 2 assists for 3 points, 5 shots. On D, we have Dilly, 2 shots, 3 blocks, and 3 hits. Dougie Hamilton, a shot, a block, and a hit. Shimo Nemitz, a shot and a block. Luke Hughes, 3 shots and a block. Siegs, a shot, 4 blocks. And Markey, 14 saves on 17 shots. And his numbers are just going to be, they're going to be pretty poor for the year. I mean, it is what it is. But what a game. Obviously, love to see the Devils beat the Rangers anytime they can. And like I said, the Jack Hughes just domination of the New York Rangers continues. For whatever reason, he just brings it. And another 3-point night. I mean, wow. We probably could have won this game even more decisively than we did. But I will take a win any way they come. I will certainly enjoy this. Like I said before, it would feel a lot better, if this was amidst a playoff run and a drive to the playoffs, which, will not be happening. But nights like this are fun. It's always fun to beat our rivals. It was a long day in Devils, news or whatever, with this whole Jack Hughes puck thing that became a way bigger story than it ever should have been. I mean, and this is why some guys hate the media. I think Jack was probably laughing when he said, oh, why do they have it? I should have the puck. And then it just became like an all-out attack by mostly Canadians. But we get to the comments. Jay Snow, the season's absolutely over. It's nice to see them play well now, but big changes are needed. Completely agree. Like I've said before, and to clarify, I do feel dirty doing the sound effects and stuff at times like this, but many of you were like, bring it back for the Ranger game. So I made an exception. I will do the full gamut of tricks. I'll bring out the full bag of tricks for Rangers games, but I can't do it for any other games. It just feels too dirty given where we are. But always going to enjoy beating the Rangers and completely agree. We need sweeping changes this offseason. Hopefully it begins with the GM. I don't have much confidence that will be the case, but we certainly need some pieces. I mean, there's just, you cannot do minor BS tweaks like we saw for the past several off seasons and think that, that's going to be good enough, despite how this team finishes. And a lot of people have expressed that concern to me in comments or whatever else, like, oh, they're going to play good down the stretch now, and then Fitz is going to not do anything because he's convinced, that the team is good or whatever. And the reality is, I don't know how much, good or bad, depending how they finish this home stretch. I'm not counting on him to do much regardless, if I'm being honest. But hopefully he's not the guy to make these decisions. Evan, what's going on? He says, hey, Ace. Ryan agrees. El Schneider, we feasted on non-playoff teams. We have. But that was a very gutsy win, especially coming back from down 2 against the Boston Bruins. They're no slouch. But obviously, yeah, we have beat up on some other, struggling teams. Vecna Fitzgerald, always fun winning against the Rags. That absolutely is. John Fay, it's always a good day when Jack scores against the Rags, win or lose. Well, it's so much nicer in a win. So much nicer in a win. Vecna, Markey is iffy. A whole year of shakiness makes me nervous for next year. I mean, I think that's completely fair. I think all of us are pretty much in the same boat. Some of us are a little more hopeful than others, but it is obviously a cause for concern. I mean, if you, with a straight face, as a Devils fan, would ever say that you are not concerned about the remainder of the Jacob Markstrom contract, I think you would be lying, because it's been a pretty shaky season. Ryan, are you not entertained? Jason says, we play a good team, we lose this game. Potentially. Jeff, it's not good when a team literally can't win when one player's out. Without Jack, this team is trash. It can't be like that moving forward. Fitz has to beef up the top. Fitz has to beef up the top six. I don't know why that one was so hard to get out. Completely agree. But at some point, I do hold the players accountable as well, because despite, the team struggling when Jack went down, it's not like we have no other players other than Jack. And that's the frustrating part, because some teams you look at the roster and you're like, okay, if this guy goes down, they're probably in trouble. But when you look at the Devils on paper, you're like, we have the horses so that they should be able to at least tread water without Jack Hughes for some period of time. And when he goes down, or at least this year, completely fell apart. The offense just non-existent, no goals to be had, and it was completely painful. A down season for pretty much everybody. Cannot happen in the future. Whoever's still here, which will probably be everybody, need to really elevate their games when Jack is out. But obviously that would help with adding a big piece. And as all of us have had on our want list for years now, is a big scoring winger for Jack Hughes. I mean, that is what we need. That is what we need. Robert says, Jacko, growing up before our eyes, going from the one-leg rookie goal celebration to the confident grab Selly. Jack is going to be a force next season. I really believe it. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But when, we're looking at a new level of Jack Hughes post-Olympics, and it is a thing of absolute beauty. Jeremy Proper, 12 goals in 2 games against the Rags. That is correct. And I believe is this our first 6 goal outing where one wasn't on the open empty net, I believe. What's going on, Devil Heaven? Jay Snow, every game Markey gives up a goal in the first 5 minutes. Well, wasn't the first 5 minutes tonight. It was much later, but it was only the second shot on goal. Jay Snow, how many times has Markey given up a goal in the first shot of the game? A good amount, but tonight it was the second shot. Robert, all game long, Jack chatting all night with Trocheck, bantering and pointing at him after his last goal. That's who he was pointing to? I saw him point to somebody. I think people online were speculating that he was pointing at someone in the crowd. Perhaps there was a kid that had like a red, white, and Hughes banner or something like that. Ryan, I know it's a long shot to make the playoffs, but back-to-back 6-3 over the Rags is amazing. Oh, yeah, it's beyond a long shot, but I'm going to enjoy these victories over the Rangers whenever they come. Jason likes Trocheck. Richie, I'll take it, but the defensive game by both teams is beyond horrendous and the turnovers beyond belief. Yeah, it was sloppy at times. And I'd be very curious to know if the team is just scoring more goals and subsequently winning more games because the games essentially don't mean anything. Has Keefe given them a little more free rein to do some things offensively? It would be very interesting to kind of get a, some sort of handle on what exactly is leading to this kind of, I'm not going to say revamped or the resurgent Devils, but they're scoring a lot more goals as of late than they have, prior. So definitely an interesting thing. Trevor says, how about that snipe by Grits? What a shot. Yeah, it was a beautiful shot. We know Grits can snipe with the best of them. And hopefully he's a big piece of this team for years to come. And hopefully he just keeps ripping shots from wherever. Shout out to Steve the Maniac. Steve the Maniac's always texting me. He's like, Grits just got to shoot from everywhere. And it's true. It's like when you could shoot like that, just fire pucks on net. Don't worry about being selfish. I know it seems like a lot of times we see plays or players, with the Devils where it seems like they always want to make the extra pass or try to, set something up. It's just like we do need some puck hogs to some extent. Just fire shots from wherever. And Grits certainly is a guy that could put him in from all over the place. Love to see it. Hopefully his contract situation does not become messy this summer and Fitz doesn't botch that and that Grits doesn't miss any training camp and comes out flying for next season. Because, folks, with a healthy Jack Hughes and Arseny Gritsuk and the rest of this team, you all know it, the future is bright. It's so bright. Protect your retinas. The future is so bright. And Arseny Gritsuk is a massive, massive, massive piece of the bright future here in New Jersey. One of the very few silver linings on the season. And you guys know I hate silver linings. I'll talk about them, but I'll always preface it with saying I hate silver linings and moral victories. But when you are a non-playoff team, that's essentially the only thing that you could kind of get out of a season like this. Jeremy Proper, 1 win. All right, see. No, 1 away from 8 straight 20-goal seasons. New record for a Swiss player. That's pretty cool. Nice little accolade for the captain there. Jason says Mercer's been an absolute black hole. I want to see Grits get his spot. Yeah, I will say one of the disappointments on the season, it kind of sucks because he did start off splendidly. And I thought he was taking that next step. Many of us were hoping he could be a legitimate top 6 guy, given the big opportunity. Was a point per game guy for a while in the beginning of the season, and then all the injuries happened. And I do think, and it's not to make excuses for him, but once he got flopped back to center for a while, and then he just kind of never regained his early season form. And it is what it is. I still think he's a very good player. He's very useful, but he's not a legitimate top 6 guy. He's just like a nice third line player. And would be on a contending team. And so I don't know what that means for his future here. It just doesn't seem like he's going to become the guy that many people were hoping for, but that's not to say that I think he's a bad player or anything like that. I think he's a good player and he could be a mainstay for the Devils for years to come as well. He's just not going to be that next level guy that we were hoping he was going to become. That's just what, the reality of it. John, I wouldn't mind bumping up Grits and dropping Mercer line until Mercer gets his spark back. We're going to see how this all shakes out for the rest of the season. Bonzo, the season is over. There's no pressure. So now Hughes plays well. It shows what he's made of. I mean, you make it sound like he's not nearly a point per game guy for his career. I mean, like, come on, bud. I don't think it has anything to do with the no pressure. The kid was playing with one hand, for crying out loud. Post Chicago cut, he was wearing, batting gloves and splints and all kinds of shit under his glove and gutting it out. Say what you want about the kid, but he's a gamer, and when he's healthy, he is a top player in this league. Red Devil with a filthy goal by Gritsuk. It really was. Love to see that. Faye, also congrats to Jesper Brad on a big 500 points. Yeah. The Bradder quietly getting done. Again, another underwhelming season for him, but it's been a bad season for everybody pretty much. And hopefully next season, we don't see any of these things repeat themselves, but I am concerned, and we do need the shakeup in the summer. Nothing has changed in my mind whatsoever. Yo, Holmes, where are the Hughes sucks little biatches tonight? They're still here. Oh, they're still here. Crazy Alex says we got to hit more. Obviously, the game did seem to lack a true rivalry intensity. It just seemed like, at some points, two teams just going through the motions. Faces, we need to hit more, especially against our rivals. Yo, Holmes, we should have won by 8 goals. Martinelli's is asking, Jack can't play under pressure. Yeah, I don't know. I thought a golden goal would be pretty good pressure, but Trevor says on the broadcast, they are roasting Fox on the Grits goal. It wasn't a bad defensive play, just a fantastic snipe. Yeah, I mean, beautiful shot by Grits. Back of the net. Connor Brown, baby. Yo, Holmes, Brown was Jack's camp coach as a kid. What a connection. That is pretty funny. Trevor says, really unfortunate this team couldn't find this game before the break. Yeah. Because like we always say, and it's painful to look at it, but it's like, had they won even a few more games, before the break, everything would be different, but it did not happen. Consistently inconsistent, and it's a case of too little, too late. Justin Ames says this is basically New Jersey torturing us. A lot of us thought, that they would kind of close the gap a little bit down the stretch here, play decent, but obviously not enough to get into the playoffs. And we're going to end up with that middling pick, or not a middling pick, but, closer to 10 or so than higher up. And in the end, I want to trade the pick anyway. We need immediate help. A draft pick is not helping this team win anytime soon, and I have no interest in drafting with it. Ivan says, beating the Rangers will never get old, even if we suck. It does suck. We were looking at another playoff list season. Yeah, it really does suck. But beating the Rangers, no matter what the circumstances, is always fun. World's Worst Gamer, I am Canadian, by the way, but it wouldn't matter if I was not, as I would still laugh at Jack Hughes about the puck thing. No, man, it has become that. I didn't realize everything in society these days somehow gets boiled down to sides or whatever of something that it shouldn't be. And it took me a little bit to realize how this was playing out. And essentially it turned into all Canadians saying that Jack Hughes is stupid. Jack Hughes is this, Jack Hughes is that. And it's like, number one, it's not that serious. He just said he wanted the puck back, and people are acting as if he committed this like egregious crime by saying he wanted the puck back. Like, oh, the horror. A guy that scored one of the biggest goals in hockey history wanted the puck. Like, oh my God, what a bad guy. Like, give me a break. And you being Canadian has everything to do with it. And that's been evidence all day. Every Canadian outlet, talking head, overwhelmingly Canadians talking smack. And it's unfortunately sour grapes because you lost. It is what it is. Snow says, I don't care that he doesn't get the puck, but put it in the American Hall of Fame. Then, yeah, I do think it should do a little tour. People have even said it should be in the Smithsonian as like an American artifact. It would be nice, though, if they displayed it in a bunch of different places for a set amount of time. Obviously it's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now it'd be nice if it made a stop at the American Hockey Hall of Fame. And maybe even something like the Smithsonian. Evan, Devils beat the Rangers 6-3 both times this season already. If nothing else, we beat them again in a season series. Yeah, it's another kind of silver lining moral victory that I don't really care for, but it is a nice little footnote on a terrible season. Ariel says we're beating non-playoff teams. We are non-playoff teams ourselves. This is very true. Michael says, surprised someone didn't try to sell that golden goal puck. No, the IIHF collected it immediately. And, obviously with the intention to donate it to the Hockey Hall of Fame so that it could be on display in Toronto. I've been kind of meaning to go to Toronto again for a while. It's been a long time since I've been there. I was there in, was it 2018 or 19 for Marty's Hall of Fame induction. If you've never been to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, I highly recommend it. And especially, Hall of Fame weekend is phenomenal with all the festivities and things they do. It truly was amazing. But maybe if the schedule permits, maybe I'll make a little summertime trip to Toronto to visit that golden goal puck. My Bob 36, Connor Brown leapfrogs Mercer and Luke to be fifth on the team in points. Love to see it. Connor Brown loved the signing by Fitz. I think it's probably one of his better depth moves in a while. And Connor Brown, veteran, gutsy player. Like Connor Brown a lot. Yo Home says, who are the jabronis complaining about this win? Have another donut. FDT LGD, is this a late postseason push? Oh, boy. Some of you guys are really hopped up on the hopium. It was a red, white, and Hughes banner. Okay. 10 points out. Some of you guys are nuts. I'm just trying to catch up a little bit here. World's Worst Gamer says Devils now at the longest win streak in the NHL at 3. Trevor says, sorry to say, anyone hoping for the playoffs is delusional. We're 10 points out even after the recent good play. See you next season. Yeah, it is what it is. The math is the math. Richie, Ace, if they finish strong, does Keefe have a net to stay, or do you think he's gone? This punk on Locked On Devils said his source says he's gone regardless of how they finish. I don't put much stock into, people say they heard this, they heard that. Like, some people sometimes have credible sources and whatever, but I don't think that type of information would be that known yet as of right now. Now, with that being said, I think he's kind of a 50-50 too. And I've said all along, like, if Fitz and Keefe are gone together, I'm okay with that. Even though I don't think it's Keefe's fault whatsoever. I've talked about this forever. I think he's gotten a kind of bad deal since he's been here in terms of the roster. And I think a lot of guys just completely shit the bed, and all of them at once, seemingly. And a lot of people were looking to scapegoat yet another coach in Sheldon Keefe for this. I think it'd be wrong. But if him and Fitz go together, then so be it. I'm not going to, be up in arms over it, but I don't think this is a Keefe issue. I think it's more of a Fitz roster construction issue and the players just collectively all sucking at once. But if Fitz stays on and fires Keefe, I will be furious. But it's a tough one to say, because I do think if Fitz does fire him and Fitz is still here, then he's kind of out of excuses now. He used injury excuse, then he's going to fire another coach, and then he kind of doesn't have any more plays in his back pocket. Versus if he is still here and he lets Keefe stay, then I still think he has that kind of as a wild card in the future if shit goes bad to be like, oh, it's the coach, and then fire Keefe and use that bullet then. So I don't know. There's so many layers to this. It will be very interesting to see how it all plays out. It's hard for me. I think that one's kind of a coin flip as well. Eddie Benzie says Jack Hughes affects the team so positively. Team looks so much more alive with Jack out there. Yeah, I mean, he's a top player in the league. When you have a guy like that in your lineup, you're going to be much better off than without him. And he's playing at a different level right now, post-Olympics. And dare I say, he might look even better than he did earlier on this season before Chicago cut. David S., here we go. A's playing the intro clips like old times. He's starting to believe we can still make the playoffs. First steps taken tonight. Let's not get crazy, David. Many people, or several people, had asked for the clips for the Ranger games. And so the Ranger games are a little bit more special than other games. So despite the season being in the toilet, for the Ranger games, if they win, I will do all the special effects there, but I can't in my right mind do it for any other games. Bonzo, hit the like button. It takes a lot to do a post game on this embarrassment of a team. Yeah, thanks, Bonzo. Hit the thumbs up for your boy and for our beloved New Jersey Devils getting a big win over the Broadway Blue Shirts tonight. David has 6-2 in our last 8 games, 14 games remaining and 10 points back. Devils can still make the playoffs. Who's with me? Oh boy. Michael's on hopium. Snow Devil, hi Ace. Haven't been in the live chat in a while. Nice to see us finally using our Swiss jackknife on both jack swing and power play 1. Oh man. World's worst game where Jack should be averaging 1.5 points per game and hasn't? I mean, hasn't in what? The season, his career? What exactly are you referring to? He's been on fire as of late. Devil having bottom 6 looking sick, heavy, solid. What's going on, Amagi? He says ship Mercer to Siberia. A lot of people are here. Yeah, I knew it was coming. Jeremy Proper, Mercer experiment has to end in the offseason. I mean, listen. The only way I think you could be really down on him is if your expectations were too high. With that being said, if a team comes knocking and there's a good trade on the table to improve the team, I'm all for it. But Mercer's definitely not a guy I'm just looking to trade for the sake of trading him. Is it a little disappointing he's not going to become that guy that we all wanted him to be? Sure. But that's not to say he doesn't have any value on this team, because he certainly does. And he's getting paid $4 million. Jeremy Proper, the loser point is what killed us this year. More of those and less regulation losses, we'd be chasing the playoffs. Yeah. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Chowski says, if you have a problem with Jack wanting the puck, then get a life. I'm kind of with you. I do think it's gotten way out of control. It became a story that really isn't a story. And again, he just said he wanted the puck back. Like, he didn't say, anything crazy. For people to turn it into this whole thing, it just goes to show that There's a lot of haters on Jack Hughes right now. I mean, my God. All this guy did was deliver a gold medal for the country. And a lot of the people hating are Canadians, like I said, but there's a good amount of Americans as well. Michael, what's your percentage on Keefe being fired? I think it is 50-50. Richie says, smash the like button for Ace. Appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. World's Worst Gamer says, any fights in the blue seats, any video of it? I'd be curious. I contemplated going to this game, but I just couldn't. It's a lot of effort to go into the city. I couldn't drag myself. This was one I really planned on going to if the season went the way it was supposed to. If we were in the playoffs, I was making the trip tonight, but obviously not in the cards. Jay Snow said, you see the Wingmed podcast today? If I'm Jack, I'm behind the scenes scouting Brady in New Jersey. So I did. I've talked about this since it first came out. So those that aren't aware, Matthew and Brady Kachuk have a podcast together called Wingmen. It is definitely my favorite pod. I love those guys. Their stories are great. They're starting to bring on guests. They're bringing on guys from Team USA. I mean, it's just a phenomenal pod. And the latest one that released this morning was the Golden Brothers episode. It was the Kachuk brothers with Jack and Quinn Hughes, and it is must-see television. Must-see TV. Go watch it right after the stream. Jack and Quinn Hughes talking shop with Brady and Matthew on Wingmen. Phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Jason said, I'd lose it if Fitz comes back and Keefe gets fired. That's the situation that I don't want to see because I will be livid. Like I said, if they both go, I could live with that. But if Fitz gets to fire him and keep his job, that would not sit well with me whatsoever. Tom Ace, should we stage a National Treasure Nick Cage-style heist to get Jack his golden goal puck? The Hall of Fame released a statement. It doesn't look like he's going to get it back. I mean, or get it. Jay Snow, we need a new GM to come in and take a real look at this roster. Yeah, I mean, the hard decisions need to be made. I don't see, outside of shipping out one of the core pieces, I don't see how you add the piece that is going to, or pieces that's going to move this team truly forward, unless you somehow unload a lot of the defensemen and save a lot of money there. But the cap space is going to be an issue. And it just seems like one of those guys has to go if you're really going to make a change. Yeah, and Fitz will never break this core up. That's kind of where it seems to me, which is even more of a reason why you need an outside GM to come in who's not attached to these guys. And will make the tough decisions, because it certainly does not seem that Fitz will be able to do it. Honky Lips, a little off topic, but fun. Who'd be a better fighter, calculated and more reserved Jake Allen or a crazy Markstrom? I'm going to go with Marky just because of temperament and size. Marky is a big dude, and he has that switch. Like, you could tell, like, when he snaps, like, he goes off. So I think Marky could be a formidable goalie fighter. Torts as GM, I don't think Torts will ever get a GM gig, but if Keefe is fired, he would definitely be on my list of potential coaches I would interview. Ryan, Devils don't have a pick this year unless it's in the top 10. I believe they traded it. No, that was last year's pick. They have a first round pick this year, and they certainly should be trading it. Fitz has already had enough coaches. I completely agree. Metalander, can you do a video discussing what you remember about your conversation with Billy G? There'll be something more on that, maybe. Vecna Fitzgerald says Olympics made Jack from a boy to a man 100%. Yeah, crazy levels of maturation over a 2.5 week time span. Jay Snow, Bukestad's a big dude. I wish he played a little meaner. I wish everybody played a little meaner. If everybody just played a little bit meaner, it'd be a much more difficult team to play against. Yeah, I want guys that genuinely wake up angry and just want to hurt people. Steven C. Bloss, 6 different goal scorers tonight. I like it. Love to see it. 6 different guys, all on a goalie, none of them empty net. It's a thing of beauty. Jason, who cares? It's a puck. Why do we care? Does anyone really want to go look at this puck through a piece of glass? I'm sure Jack can give them a stick or some other gear. What's up, DJ? Love the Kachuk Boys podcast. One of the best pods in the game. It's about time we get something like this. Two of the better personalities in the sport of hockey today, I believe. And they just tell it like it is and tell great stories. I recommend watching, the one with Connor Hellebuck from last week was phenomenal. I mean, they're just putting out great stuff, giving us great insight into the game from the horse's mouth, straight from the players. Jason, the Kachucks are just awesome, old school, and funny as shit. Yeah, they were raised by Big Walt. They are raised by Big Walt. Keith Kachuk's kids, and they go about their business the right way. Jason said, I like that Kachuk wanted Jack next to him in the locker room. I mean, I don't want to give away too much of it for those that didn't watch it, but in the podcast, Matthew Kachuk revealed that he told the equipment staff when they were setting up the locker rooms that he wanted to be next to Jack. I thought that was a little interesting tidbit as well, Snow. World's Worst Gamer says, where are the Rags trolls? Invite them in. Like many of our fans, I'm assuming many of the Rangers fans have checked out for the season and moved on to other things as well. Jason, I think Kachuk definitely showed Jack what leading's like. Absolutely, and this is what I was talking about leading up to it. When you have a guy like Jack go play on a team with guys like that, true leaders, true alphas, just winners and guys that want to win, it is contagious, and you pick up on this. And I've said it for a very long time now. I do believe that the organization did not do these players here any justice or favors because they never had the proper mentorship when they were young kids in the league. I call them orphan players because they raised themselves, and I will forever believe that to be the case. There was no long-term veteran presence entrenched in the locker room to show these guys how to be pros, how to go about their business, what it's like, playing in the league, all these different things on and off the ice. They never got that. And so now Jack is getting it, or just got it, well into his NHL career on the Olympic stage. And I'm very thankful that he got that experience. Devils Den, what's up, Austin? If any competent goalie was in net tonight, the Devils get the shutout. It's possible. Chelsea says Markey has the crazy eyes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Devils then says Siegenthaler and Hamilton were -3 tonight. Get Hamilton off this team. You guys are gonna, everyone who's rushing him out of here, you're going to miss him when he's gone. But I still am somewhat stunned that he was not traded at the deadline. It seems crazy to me, but it makes me believe even more so that we may lose Nemo this summer, and I don't want to see it. I really don't want to see it. Yo, Holmes, I love how Nico right now is miserable all the time, even when he scores. Now Nico is the captain now. I think the losing season has just the losing season has taken its toll on him. And not even the season, it's the years of losing. Like, I just think that he's just beaten down. And it's going to be interesting to see if he signs that contract this summer or what goes on with that. I really am a little anxious about it. Anson's Wingman pod is killer. Great stuff. Great stuff. Where's James C? Odd/fun question. What is your favorite Devils bobblehead that comes to mind that you own? Favorite bobblehead that I own? There's a couple. I think there's one I could grab here. Bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I could. Where the hell did I put that? I was moving crap around in here. Oh, this is gonna piss me off. I was just messing around with is it over here? I gotta clean up the studio, folks. I'm way behind in processing items. I got shit everywhere. Oh, wait. All right, so I a couple come to mind. A couple come to mind. Bear with me 1 second. I gotta grab one of them from over here. All right, so this is the first one. I'm gonna go. I'll show two. I have a ton of these, a ton of different bobbleheads from over the years and stuff. But two that come to mind when you ask that question. The first one is just a classic. This is the old school Martin Brodeur. This is the old school Alexander Global Promotions, the OG in the stadium giveaways. This is the Marty, and they actually made the mask flip up. I don't know why, because this is not how real masks work anyway. But for whatever reason, they made this flip up. But great detail on there. You see the mask, cool paint job. This is back when things were still nice and heavy, when there was still some sort of quality in the bobblehead game. It's gotten completely, crappy, I think, as of late. But the detail on the old school ones are far superior to the current. This has got, the number 30 on the back of the helmet there, on the back of the mask, the jersey, it's all raised. It's all nice. They chintz out on these things now, but this one with the detail, love this one. This was given away at Continental Airlines Arena, I believe, in 2002 or 3. So this is super vintage. This is 20 some odd years old, but this one will always probably be my favorite one. And one of the first Devils bobblehead giveaways of all time. The OG Martin Brodeur. And then a slightly more recent one I'll show that many of you probably know of and or have, but is also super kind of cool. And again, you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about with quality. But the face painter, baby. David Putty. We're the Devils. It's hard to get it on here to see the detail, but the detail on this is great too. It's David Putty from the famous Seinfeld episode, The Face Painter. It says, "We're the Devils" on the base. That was his famous, "We're the Devils." And it says, "Let's get it on." He's wearing his, Marty jersey. But just to show what I was talking about in terms of quality, right? Like, I'm not exaggerating. You just look at the sheer size, right? This Marty bobblehead weighs at least 3 times. The Marty weighs at least 3 times what the Putty does, and you just see the size difference. And even when you look at the details of it, the Devils logo is like raised and everything on the Marty one. It's like a shitty little sticker on this, so it's like whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, but this is a great one. Putty, the biggest New Jersey Devils pop culture crossover in the history of the organization. So Putty and the great Martin Brodeur, these are my 2 favorite probably Devils bobbleheads of all time. Those 2. I gotta make sure I don't break those. I lost my spot here. Dun, dun, dun. James says, "A win against the Rags is always a good night. Cheers, Ace." Absolutely is. Cheers to you. Cheers to the New Jersey Devils and Jack Hughes. Yep, the David Putty is an all-timer for sure. Snow Devils has got to be Jack Hughes, Team USA. Well, there is a slew of Team USA bobbleheads coming out after the gold medal victory, obviously, from Forever Collectibles. But this is actually a Jack Hughes USA bobblehead that they gave away, I want to say, a couple years ago at the development team where Jack played. prior to being drafted. They did this Jack Hughes USA. This is when he was number 6 back then, but this is a cool one too. Metal Anderson says, Jack Little Hugless has 20 goals in 25 career games against the Rags. Yeah, the putty bobblehead is a classic. Tom A says, Marty's glove and blocker must smell like absolute greatness. I don't know. It's been in that case for a while. I do have some gloves and stuff that do kind of stink. A lot of people saying putty, so I guess putty's is a fan favorite for sure. Pellet Smoker Overload says, will someone please buy Timo a calendar that shows every month is March? It would be nice if we got that production throughout the year, but this has been a tragic season for everybody. Where's James C? Always like the putty and the Ken Ghostbuster, I think, is a sleeper. I'm not going to lie, guys. I hated those ones. And there's like a Nico Heischer Top Gun. Like, I don't like the collabs that make no sense. And I'm sorry, the Ken Danico Ghostbusters one makes absolutely no sense. Like, I just don't understand it. I thought it was dumb the first time I saw it, and I still think it's dumb. And the same with the Nico Top Gun one. Like, what the hell are we talking about? What are we going to get next week? Arseny Gritsuk Power Rangers? Like, it never made sense. I don't like it at all. Not at all. Steven C says all the Seinfeld bobbleheads go for a fortune. The Yankees won too. Ari says, beating the Rangers will always make me smile. Well, at least that makes 2 of us. Beating the Rangers is always fun. No matter what the circumstances, no matter when it is in the season, no matter where we are in the standings, beating your arch rivals never gets old. It never gets old, and especially on their home ice. Beautiful. Anthony says, like the stream. Appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. Yo Holmes says, face of USA hockey. One of them, at least. Amagi, I love my Sopranos Stadium Series bobblehead of Jack and Nico. Yeah, that's a cool one, too. I've tried not to go down the slippery slope of the ones that they're producing, like, for sale, because they make them, like, it seems like every other week there's a new one, and it would get out of control. I have a couple of them, but that one is really cool. The one that Amagi's referring to was the had the guys in the tracksuits that they wore for their entrance to the Stadium Series game, which is a very cool entrance, which, by the way, I posted it on X tonight. I said, with this newfound level of fame for Jack Hughes, does that make the New Jersey Devils a more attractive choice for a Winter Classic or Stadium Series game in the future? And I would have to think that it is. Jack is the most famous hockey player on the planet right now, and the league is all about ratings and money and excitement and this and that. What better way to drum up more interest than to put the golden boy in a Winter Classic or a Stadium Series? If I would settle for a Stadium Series, but I would like it to be the Winter Classic. Would be nice. Devil's Den, fun fact, Jack Hughes has more assists this year than Timo Meier has points despite playing 20 less games. Amagi says, come on, man, the Top Gun Nico is based off his goal graphic. But who cares? But where did the goal graphic come from? It's all just random nonsense to me. Honky Lip says, my buddy told me that the Garden State Plaza has a sporting goods store going out of business. The hockey jerseys, including the Devils, are 50% off. Tomorrow, I will check and let you all know. Very interesting. Tom A says, we need a Fitz Forrest Gump bobblehead crossover. Yo, a bobblehead of Fitz. Life is like a box of chocolates. A talking Fitz bobblehead with his greatest one-liners would be absolutely phenomenal. What is depth scoring? I don't look at the standings. Swiss jackknife. You really could have a best of with the Tom Fitzgerald quotes. Would be all time. Completely all time. Richie says, Austin, true. However, give me 2 more Timos on this team. Size is greatly needed. I'm one of the few who would go after Ryan O'Reilly in the offseason. I want some script badly. We need some animals. Carson, we have an owner smart enough to never hire a GM like Fitz, and we'll actually fire him if he did. Yeah. Forrest Gump is too smart. The Bosso Cats. We had a stadium series. Winter Classic would be incredible. I want a Winter Classic so bad. And I wouldn't even care if it was a road game, but we were talking about this on X, and people seemed to be into it after I posted it. Obviously, everyone likes the outdoor games in the Winter Classic, but I think one with the Islanders at Citi Field could be huge. One at MetLife Stadium against the Rangers or anyone would be huge. Devils against Sabres in Buffalo could be huge. I mean, I think there's so many different potential places and matchups for the Devils in an outdoor game of some kind. It would be awesome, obviously, for the fan base. And for those of you that went to either the stadium series at Yankee Stadium or the stadium series at MetLife know how much fun they are. Jason, they should have a bobble of Fitz with a bottle of Jack in his hands. M-Force, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what no trade clause you're going to get. Jason, yeah, we went to MSG across the river and won this one. Another one against the Rags. Anyone got pieces of dark chocolate and healthy smoothie to celebrate our win tonight? What? Faye says, I'll take a Winter Classic. Richie, got to play the guy at his natural position on power play all year. We're talking about Timo still, the conversation that never ends. I get it, but I like his play regardless. I can't kill Timo for a bad year because literally everyone had a bad year. So if you're going to, and despite that, I still think he's second in goals only to Nico. Let me just double check that. Yeah, second on the team with 19 goals. Obviously, the points is underwhelming, but it's been a bad year for everybody. So for the people that are just singling out Timo, it's like, do you have that same energy for everybody else that is underperforming this year? Because it's a team-wide thing. Bobby, thank you for the super, sir. What's up, Ace? Listen, I'm not going to bitch and moan since we dominated the Rags. But for the love of God, does Markey suck? This game should have been 6-1. We'll never be an elite team until we get a goalie like Sway or Otter. Truthfully, I still don't think we need like an elite goalie to be good. I just think we need adequate goaltending. And I hope Markey and Allen can give it to us. I certainly think Allen can for next year. Markey definitely is concerning. But, and it's a nice luxury to have a top-tier goalie, obviously. Who wouldn't want to have one? And I do think that puts you in the best position for success. I am an old-school disciple of Lou Lamoriello. You build a team from the net out. Myself and Steve the Maniac were salivating when those rumors of the Devils and Hellebuck were a thing a few summers back. It never materialized. I would still be very curious to know how close the Devils were actually getting him. And I think that the trajectory of everything over the past few years would have been wildly different if we had Hellebuck, but we don't. And so I'm hoping that whatever we see with Markey and Allen next year, that we just get adequate with just average NHL goaltending. If this offense is not in a coma like they were for most of this season, we should be a very competitive team. But keyword being should, because despite the firepower we have on paper, when Jack Hughes went down, they all did nothing. John faces Ace. If it was on the table, would you take Trocheck from the Rangers? I like Vinny Trocheck. I think that would be a win now move. I just want to see what is his. He's got 3 more years on his deal at 5.625, and he's 35. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to see 35 and be like, "Oh my God, call the funeral home. We're skipping the old folks home and bringing him straight to the funeral home because he's near death because he's 35." Like, again, I think he's a guy that could help this team win. At the right price, I'd be interested. Again, I don't think that is that wouldn't be like the top of my list of guys like, oh, go get Vinny Trocheck, but I definitely think he could help. But we need a big time move. We need a big move, and we need it soon. Richie, Brady and Matt wanted Jack next to them in the Olympic locker room. JT Miller asked for Sofia Vergara. What? Ari says, I couldn't tell if we looked amazing tonight or the Rangers are just that bad. I think it was a combination of both, if I'm being honest. A little bit of both. Trevor, what happened to Mystery Puck Night? I thought they still do a couple of them per year. I personally don't enjoy waiting. It's not my thing. I don't want to wait in line for the pucks and then you get some random guy. And my other thing is not to be like a total, downer or whatever, but a lot of times when I see people post pictures of the mystery pucks, these guys are signing them with like completely dead paint pens or Sharpies. Like, what? Is there no quality control there? No one knows how to do like a mass signing with the players when they're signing all these things. These guys must be signing, hundreds of pucks with the same marker, and halfway through they're dead and the signatures look like crap. Robert says a bobblehead of Fitzy. We came in second. Devil's Den absolutely have the same energy for every guy that has underperformed to have it for Dougie, Markstrom, Meyer, Mercer, Bratt, even Heischer. Yo, Holmes says, here come the jabronis complaining after a Ranger win. Richie agreed. It's frustrating. Watching since 83, never seen a team this talented be so disappointing. Yeah. Everybody decided to disappear. Art W says, bad year for everyone means the coaching is the issue. Also, with Markstrom as the number one, there will be no playoffs. Art, I can't put it on Keefe. I'm sorry, man. I just can't. I can't. Too many breakaways we could not convert on. 2-on-1s, guys missing the net. Like, that's beyond coaching. Snow says the problem is what the Rangers are going to want. They want way too much. And if that's the case, I have no interest. Like every other person that I've ever said I'm interested in, it has to be at the right price. It has to make sense. Benjamin says there's no way we could compete with Markstrom in that. Even Grok agrees. Swamp Fox, Timo's not the problem. Play him on his natural side and get a big, tough sniper for Jack. Would love to see it. Yo, Holmes says, remember when grown-ups complained after Devils Rangers win? Nobody does, bro. Have another donut. Bobby, Ace, hear me out. Dallas is strapped for cap. They need to make room to re-sign Robo, and reports say that's their intention. In an ideal world, trading for Johnson would do wonders for us. I just can't see. I just can't see it. I'm all for any addition that's going to have a big impact, but until a new GM comes, I can't let myself believe there's a chance of it. Richie, lucky enough to have seen the great, the bad, and the downright ugly, but this current team makes me want to puke. Yeah, in terms of what our expectations were and what the actual outcome is, this is one of the most disappointing seasons ever. The Bosso Cats, you watched the most recent Wingmen with the Hughes brothers ace. Of course I did. We talked about this a couple minutes ago. Phenomenal stuff. Cannot recommend it enough. The Golden Brothers, Matthew and Brady Tkachuk with Jack and Quinn Hughes. Great, great stuff. Great stories from Olympic Village, talking about all kinds of stuff leading up to the games and in between the games. Amazing, amazing stuff. Everyone definitely go check it out. Oh, shit. Oh, I hit a button. Hold on. I hit something. So we got Ari. Ace, your Milan vlogs are awesome. Thank you for the content. Oh, thanks for watching, man. They would have been much better if the IOC didn't come after me and everybody else who was posting anything about the Olympics. I'm still hoping to show you guys some of that stuff one day. I haven't figured out exactly how, but I got some really cool stuff. some really cool footage throughout the tournament. But if you're interested in seeing some sights and random Italy stuff and food and stuff in Milan, I just dropped a link in the chat for the Milan vlogs. What a time. Now I'm depressed again. I was just starting to get over my post-Olympic depression a little bit, but now you guys are causing it to come back. Trevor, the Fitz gum bobblehead has to happen. Bobby, what's the most frustrating is we found the scoring touch after the Olympics, but at this point, it's far too late to make a push, unfortunately. Yeah, and I'd be curious to know exactly what it is. Is Keefe tweaking some things? Is he giving guys more rope? Or is it just a function of the guys not feeling the pressure now that they're seemingly done? I mean, it would be very interesting to know kind of what's behind all this. Ethan, still sad we didn't do a Running with the Devils meetup. We need to do that next season. No, I really wanted to do it this season, and the months fly by and everything, and and I just can't force myself to do it in a season like this. But I will say I will do one very early in the season next season. So while the games still mean something, we will have some sort of event. Jay Snow, Fitz is back. It's really hard to have any expectations next year. Completely agree. If he is back, the only thing I could hope is that we somehow luck into meaningful trades and success on the ice. The Bosso Cats has never changed the Van Halen intro, Ace. No, I don't think so. It's kind of part of the whole thing now. Bobby, Trocheck would be a phenomenal 3C with Bukestad as our 4C. We'll have a nearly perfect center group. Well, what are you doing with Cody Glass, sir? David Ace, you might have to make the I will go down with the ship video after all because the playoffs are still in sight. Oh, boy. Devil's Den, Austin, down with the IOC. Absolutely down with the IOC. Down with the IOC. Bettman was pretty cool right off the bat. I'm not sure what that is about. Yo, Holmes, I love the Kachucks and Hughes are cousins like Ric Flair is the cousin of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Swamp Fox, Glass is fine at 3C on the line with Grits and Haminaho. Yeah, I mean, I don't know in what world, at worst case, Cody Glass is not your 4C. Jason, no, it's hard putting stock into the stretch knowing they're not playing for anything. Same here. But if nothing else, I think, potential line chemistry for next year or just something to, some little bit of positivity to take into the summer. But, I agree. From one season to the next, there's not a ton of carryover, but I just don't like the stench of losing. I do think that can carry over. Richie, appreciate you doing this all season long. It's been rough, but I can't look away. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out, Richie. I'm going to be here until the bitter end, regardless of what it looks like. Bobby, I'd say it's a combination of no pressure, keep making tweaks, but most importantly, we are healthy. Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with, I do think that Jack, he was playing hampered that whole time. He rushed back and was playing with one hand. I mean, it is what it is. Metalander Keefe has talked many times about this team being soft and careless in post-game pressers. He once said they wilt under pressure. This would have made change in any other organization. No one will listen. And that's why I think more to my point of I really don't believe that it's a Keefe issue. Now, again, in any scenario, will the coach have a little bit of blame? Sure. But by no stretch do I think he is the main issue here whatsoever. And I think he has in some of those post-game press conferences we've seen throughout the season. Once in a while, he would just kind of come out with it and be pretty blunt. And a lot of the stuff he was saying about the team is certainly true. Devils are beastly. What kind of extension would you want to see Grits get? Something like 2 years, $2.2 million, or more in the 7-year, $6.5 million range. So I do believe more and more as we go into the future, these bridge contracts that people fantasize over are just going to become even more rare than they already are. These guys don't want to, I'm going to sign for 2 years for way less money and then prove myself and then get way more money. Like, no one, these guys don't want that. They want the long-term security and they want the bag. They want the cashola now. So I don't see Grits signing any of these mythical bridge deals that most guys never do because it's mostly a pipe dream scenario. I would like to see him sign 7 years in that 6 to 7 range. I think that's where it's going to come in at, somewhere around there. In this new cap era, a guy like him, again, you're kind of paying a little bit for the upside, but would like to see him locked up long-term for sure. I don't think there's any chance he signs a 2-year deal for anywhere near $2.2 million. I think he wants his money like most of these guys do. Robert says, Jackie Boy owns the Rags. Love to see it. He certainly does. Oh, you're talking about my bad. It's my brain is scrambled, Ben. Yes. Fresh off the plane. Gary Bettman. He wasn't thrilled, but he was nicer after I turned the camera off, and I was talking to him for another couple minutes, waiting for our bags. I should have said something to him about the playoff format, but he I was trying to keep it a mostly friendly interaction. Yeah, at the airport. Swamp Fox, Luke's been so much better since returning from his last injury. He's been a lot more assertive. Yeah, Luke had a couple nice rushes today too. I still believe Luke's going to be a stud, guys. I know a lot of people are down on him too, but like he's 22 years old and he's playing defense in the National Hockey League. Let's be real. Ethan just got my tickets to Red Wings versus Devils in Detroit. I'm catching a baseball game before the game. I can't wait. First time on the road watching the Devils. That's awesome. I saw the Devils play at the Joe years ago, 20 years ago. So you're going to do a doubleheader, huh? You're going to see the Tigers and Wings in the same day. Bobby, would you make Glass 4C and trade Bukestad or have him play wing with Cotter? No, Glass is we don't have center depth. We finally have, or at least what appears to be 4 legitimate NHL centers. Cody Glass has to either be 3C or 4C. Devils Den Ace, do you think the Department of Player Safety needs to be overhauled or have some sort of shakeup? Don't know if you saw McDavid's comments. I saw some of it. The only thing that I don't necessarily, I think it's hard when you start, and I get it, it's human nature, but when people start taking into consideration the damage or the fallout, if you will, whatever you want to call it, I guess it's just the damage of a play like that, right? Like Gudis could have made that play and Austin Matthews hypothetically couldn't have may not have gotten hurt and missed a shift, right? And so had that been the case, if Matthews just got right up and, it was a penalty, whatever, but didn't miss a shift, I think people would look at it very differently than when he's knocked out for the season. And so I understand the kind of sentiment and outrage from some people or players when they see a guy like Matthews take a shot like that and end up getting knocked out for the season. But would the outrage be the same if that wasn't the case? And I think it is a slippery slope when you start taking into consideration the injury or the time missed as a result of a play. So it's a very tricky one. The Department of Player Safety certainly has their work cut out for him. I don't envy them. It's certainly a lot to have to juggle, but maybe there is some sort of mechanism in the future where somehow, I don't know how, some sort of mathematical equation, I don't know. I've heard people in the past suggest like 1-for-1. Like if a guy misses 30 games, then you're out for 30 games. I don't necessarily know if that's the fairest way to go about it either. But perhaps there's some sort of equation that takes into consideration how much time the guy misses that you hurt. I don't really know. It's a super difficult one. I don't think there's an easy answer to it. Jason said Bukestad would move back to wing. Honky Lips, remember that strange Connor Brown injury? I was preparing myself for a memorial service for the guy. Then he was back. Strange season. We've had a lot of phantom injuries and guys that finished games, and then after the game, it comes out they were injured and they miss a couple games after. I think that may have happened with Pesci. I think that happened to Nemitz earlier in the season, where he didn't leave a game, but then afterwards, and maybe even happened with Cody Glass. But this has been a bizarre situation, a bizarre season on many levels for sure. Bobby says we'll need to trade guys away if we intend to have Hammy and McEwen play every night. Unfortunately, I don't think McEwen's going to be back. I liked what we saw in the very brief glimpses we got of him. I just don't know what the kind of situation is with his injuries. I think they probably could be long-term in nature to where he may never be the same again. And I just don't know if the Devils are going to want to go down that road and take a chance on him. But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely possible. Yeah, I think I'm with Richie. You know, he's gone. I think his knee, blown out knee, they'll not bring him back. I don't think so either. Snow Devil says, no way Grits is getting under $3 million. Well, I think this was in the kind of fantasy, these bridge deals that people convince themselves are a real thing, even though they're extremely rare. And everybody just wants their guaranteed money. Jay Snow, nice to see Bardakov playing for Colorado. I don't know how we gave up a center for Big Mac. Yeah, that was another one people talked about, to trade a prospect in that deal. Kind of bizarre. But, there's no sense in crying about it now. Bobby said, Richard, I think we should keep McEwen. The guy is 6'4", 230, pretty fast for his size and can shoot the puck. Having someone of his size is invaluable. I agree, but given the injury that he's coming off of, I just don't know that they're going to want to go down that road. So that's way too crazy to match games missed. Yeah, I think so too. But it does seem like people react to these plays based on what happens to the guy that got injured. So I don't know what the fair way to kind of juggle this whole thing is. Travelin says knee on knee is BS and Gudis did it on purpose. Metalander, why did those attractive ladies in the UK think you were going to take their phone in Italy? No, they didn't think I was going to take their phone. That's why. So long story short, I was doing some interviews with random hockey fans in front of the Duomo in Milan, a huge tourist area where there's tons of people, and there's tons of people doing photos and whatever else all over the place. And the girls in the vlog, I guess, were looking for someone to take their photos with their phone. And there's a lot of kind of shady people in all cities. And so they were kind of casing the area to look for someone that they trusted to hand their phone to in a foreign country to take their photos in front of this beautiful church, the Duomo. And so I was just kind of joking with them because before I did like the little interview with them, we were just talking and I was joking with them like, oh, why did you choose me to, to give the camera to? Because I kind of saw them looking around and looking at people. So they wanted to make sure they weren't going to hand their phone to somebody who's going to run off with it. Richie would love that, but the injury was so bad he couldn't put weight on the leg and was in tears. I doubt they bring him back because of all the other personnel that needs to be signed. The Bosso Cats with the hit, I don't think people would care as much if it weren't Matthews. Also, the hit was intentional and mad dirty. Yeah, and Gudis kind of has that reputation. Devils Den, if it was just a hit and the same outcome occurred, then I wouldn't think it's suspendable. My issue with the Gudis shot was that it wasn't a hit. He was the full intent to injure. Yeah, most people seem to think that. Jay Snow, he should have been dealt with. Gudis, the players also have to police the game. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why, fisticuffs should always be a thing in the sport. David says, it looks like Fitz may have been right. Plenty of runway left. The Bosso Cats, Gudis has a bad history of hurting guys as well. Faye, it's only a matter of time before Gudis gets a taste of his own medicine. It's possible. Jay Snow, we also have Nason coming back. I keep forgetting about him. He's kind of like the forgotten about guy in this whole thing. Let's see something here. I want to see the old standings. Look at the Sabres just beasting. It's crazy. Who would have thunk it? Lindy Ruff and the Sabres. Jason is not going to lie. I'd love Gudis on the Devils. So would I. I think we've needed just an absolute barbarian like him for a while. Myself and Steve the Maniac. I think what solidified the animal that he is. Let me see if I could find it now real quick. I know a lot of people would be against it, but listen, I would take a guy like that. Yeah, this is what really intrigued me. I already was very intrigued by Gudis, but after this in that playoff game, I think it was an overtime goal. It was an overtime goal. And look at him with this beard. This guy looks like a total psychopath, screaming in Wall's face. I mean, oh my God. I remember I saw this photo and I was like, this guy is an absolute savage. Get him in the red and black. Get him in the red and black. Ethan said, are you going to see that new Trenton hockey team next season? Potentially. Tyler, I won't be surprised if this team continues this run, wins 45 games and doesn't make the playoffs, which would be a bummer. Yeah, fall just short. It seems to be a typical, that would be like a final little kick in the nuts to the Devils fans on the season. A little, too late run and fall just short. Fire Lindy. Traveling says Florida got rid of him for a reason. What was the reason? David S. Ace, how many more games do you think Allen starts the remainder of the season? Let's take a look. It's hard to predict now that they seem committed to just driving Markey into the ground. So we have one. Well, it would have been easier just to do this, actually. 14 more games. Allen plays when Hamilton, and not that really the back-to-back matters because now they've displayed a willingness to play Markey on back-to-backs. Allen will play 4 or 5. Jason says Dallas is a competent organization. They'll figure out a way to sign Robertson. I fully believe that they would find a way to sign him. Gleason said, is there any dirtbags that you guys wouldn't take? No, there's not. I would take any of them. Any of them that I thought could help you win. If they were someone that I didn't think could help you win, then I would say no. My only criteria is, do I think you help this team win or push this team towards being a contender? And then I'll say yes. And so that's my mark. Ironhawks is such a minor league ECHL team name. Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to remain independent or if they will try to get an NHL affiliation. Ethan, I really wish we got Hellebuck instead of Jacob Markstrom because he can't stay in the net. I wanted Hellebuck badly, but for whatever reason, it did not happen. It would have been phenomenal to get Hellebuck, honestly. And I remember people saying, oh, how could we pay him $8 million? Can you imagine talking about paying Hellebuck $8 million as if it was criminal? Every team in the league would love to be paying Connor Hellebuck $8 million a season right now. Benjamin, if only we had Ogie, but that damn Denny Brand tragedy got in the way. We need to call small print lineman. Oh, boy. Snow Devil, do y'all think Jake has some lingering injury? Why would they play Markey so much? I don't think he does. I just think that because the season got away from us, that they're just kind of experimenting. I think there probably was some people, or Markey himself, who were trying to say that, he's a rhythm guy, and with more starts and more playing time, and that he could get into the groove and play at a higher level consistently. And now I think they're kind of testing that theory. Like, okay, let's just play him a bunch and see what he could do. I think that's kind of where we're at in the season. Colinelli, it didn't happen because Fitzgerald sucks. I want to know, like, how far along it got. That's what I would like to know. Like, was it ever really close to happening, or is this just more like, nonsense? Benjamin says, I want to hear Chico say what has come over the New Jersey Devils. The 5-star, unfortunately, we have no money. Thanks, Fitz. That could change kind of in a hurry. Jay Snow, I think if they get rid of Dougie and Mercer, that $13 million would really help. Yeah, obviously. And then you start looking at other guys. There's plenty of paths to free up money. There's a lot of paths to free up money, especially on the blue line. If some of these other veteran guys are like, yo, get me out of here, you could start seeing more money freed up, and the potential is there to make an impactful move or two, but it requires a series of moves. And like many of us have said, what have we seen from this guy to make us believe that any of these things are remotely realistic? Metalander, did you see that the Flyers quietly traded Delorier to the Canes at the deadline? They now have an absolute nail gun. Yeah, I just saw he just fought somebody. Who did he fight? Was it Olivier? I think it was him and Olivier. Battle. And I think he cut Olivier. Good scrap. Jason, no, this Colorado-Dallas game is really good. I'll catch some of that when I get off of here. Two teams who can play heavy and with speed. Benjamin, I'm just screwing home to Slapshot comments, but that's because it's a long way to October. Man, it's so long. So depressing. I was kind of in off-season mode for a couple months already because it just seemed like we were destined for the fate that we're living in. Colinelli, all we can do is enjoy the wins, especially beating the Rags. Let's just hope this doesn't save Fitzgerald's job. And I've said this before, I don't think that the way they finish is going to make that big of a deal one way or another. I think the ownership group has made up their decision, or made their decision kind of already, whether that's they're giving them one more season or in the unlikely event that they're canning him, which I don't think is going to happen. But I don't know how much this last, 14 games is really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, because not making the playoffs is not making the playoffs. Justin Smith, it's always a great day when we beat the Rangers. It certainly is. John Fay, I know the season sucks, but I'm going to miss hockey. We all are. I do think I am a summer guy. You guys know I love my summertime activities. I obviously miss the game, but lots of fun stuff in the summer. But this summer is going to be refreshing, I think, in a lot of ways, to just kind of detach for a little bit, never fully detached, because there's, you got the playoffs and the cup go through June, and then you got the draft and free agency. And so, there's always things going on. So it's never like a full standstill, but just in terms of the day-to-day, watching this team and talking about them after every game and just kind of dealing with a lot of the overall negativity that was this season. Like, it will be nice to just, sit on a beach with some White Claws for snow, sipping on a couple White Claws, and just not really being as entrenched for a couple months with this. Snow, their heavy forechecking system helps, but they can easily get bullied like what Florida did to them. Oh, Carolina's too soft. Justin Smith, Glenn Denning has a goal tonight for the Flyers. Look at that. Good for him. The 5-star says they're 100% rolling with Fitz. I so hope you're wrong, but I fear you could be completely correct. Devils Den, will you be doing content and live streams during the offseason after the playoffs? Yeah, I always do stuff. Obviously, there's not nearly as much to do. But I do have I'm going to try to be a little more active this offseason than I was last offseason. I have a bunch of ideas for some stuff. So hopefully, hopefully I'm able to pull off some interesting stuff this offseason. But I have some plans, and I think a good amount of them will come to fruition. Doug, wish we were an organization with a pair of balls. Ethan, any trips planned for the summer? Not as of right now, or any major ones. Probably just a couple weekend trips with some buddies. Outside of that, I don't think anything too earth-shattering. But probably some weekend trips. And maybe now that we're talking about it earlier, I might have to use this summer at some point, if I could pull it off schedule-wise, to check back in Toronto and visit that Hockey Hall of Fame. John Fay says, get rid of Fitz and we may grow some. Jay Snow, we're not good at using the walls and getting pucks deep. We rely too much on speed, which is hard to win like that. Yeah, and I do think that other teams just kind of got wise to it. We need some guys that are going to play that little bit of a different style of a game. Muck it up a little bit and get down and dirty. Meadowlander watching the Avs-Dallas game. Even with Quinn, the Wild are looking up at two powerhouses in the standings. Yeah, the West has got some talent. Some loaded teams out there. Jay Snow, we need a better balance of speed and grit. Completely agree. We've wanted Scrit for a while. We've wanted the Scrit. Jay Snow's Ace having a summer beach bash. I don't know about all that. Sorry, Wolf. Your Olympic vlogs were awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you for that. They were very fun to make. Trip of a lifetime. Italy is awesome. Highly recommended for anyone looking for a vacation spot. I think you'd be surprised at how affordable it could be if you plan it properly. And screw the IOC. I have some really awesome footage from games and warm-ups and stuff at the arena, but I got targeted, so I don't know. Maybe one day somehow it'll see the light of day, but we'll see. Devil's Den, I'm currently trying to build a studio for the offseason. Very nice. I've wanted to. I mean, this one, I don't know when you how long you've seen any of my videos here for Austin, but this studio was a new studio in the summer and took me some time to settle in. And I never really got what I really wanted, and I still have the vision for what I ultimately wanted in my head. But the season was coming up, and I kind of had to rush. I may try to do some sort of revamp in the summer, but it is a pain. Like, hanging up all this shit and the cases. Like, I had a bunch of different ideas, but in the end, I don't have where I'm set up right now, and I don't want to do the basement move. One of my buddies was adamant, like, you should put the studio in the basement. Like, I have way more room, but I don't know. I kind of like it where I'm at now. It feels overall happier to me, but it does have limitations. But we'll see. I might go for a revamp in the summer again. Doug says, I just want to look at my phone this offseason and go, wow, from a big trade. Oh, that's quite the expectation. You want to look at your phone and say, wow. I mean, I would settle for look at my phone and not be sad. I would take wait here. You're setting the expectation up here. I'll settle for somewhere in the middle. Doug says, when is the last wow trade? Covey? Are you talking about Ilya Kovalechuk? You're not talking about Kovacevic, are you? The last wow trade? I mean, no. The Larson for Taylor Hall trade was a wow trade. That was definitely a wow trade. The trade is 1-for-1. Adam Larson for Taylor Hall. That was definitely a wow trade. Richie says, Ace, book a reservation at Angelica's this summer. You will not be disappointed. Oh, I'm 1,000% going there this summer. It's funny. I told you I walked right past it several times last summer when they were bumping, and I've heard nothing but good things. So I will definitely, that is definitely on my summer hit list for sure. Devils Den, Ace, if you're down there for the Hall of Fame, give me a shout. Should make a day of it. How far are you from there? You're pretty close, right? Yeah, I might have to do. Maybe we'll have to do that, Austin. And then I'm going to make you do food reviews with me all over Toronto. Do Toronto food reviews, and then we'll see if we could find Drake. The 5-star says, I live in Summit. Any good places in North Jersey? Any good places in North Jersey for what? Food? There's a million good places. There's only one Covey to me, 5-star, but people refer to Kovacevic as Covey, and it hurts my brain. I can never call Kovacevic Covey. To me, there's only one Covey, and that is Ilya Kovalechuk, the monster tank Russian. Ferrari engine. What a beast. And someone went after Natchez. I really want to see him get beat up. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, Taylor Hall was the last one for me. A big bag for McEwen. Huge trade, Fitzy special. Doug, we're coming up on a decade since that trade. We're a sorry-ass organization. I'm not trying to tell you that we're not. We the fall from grace should be studied. A once proud organization, a once proud franchise, has fallen so far, and it pains me and disgusts me to say it, but that is the case. We have fallen so far, and for the longtime fans that witnessed the glory days, Drake's in hiding. Kendrick put him in the bunker. Come on, man. He came out. He had a good mustard beat. Let's be real. I think I told you this, Snow, but for me, the Family Matters music video was the top of the whole exchange. Doug Sebastian, meanwhile, Billy G is out here since, I guess that's spending all these futures for 1.5 years of Quinn Hughes. I'm pretty sure Billy G signs Quinn. If not long-term, I think he signs him for the few years to send him to free agency at the same time as Jack. I could totally see that happening. He's like, all right, Billy, I'm not going to leave you high and dry. I like Minnesota. This is the state of hockey. We have a competitive team. Let's see what we could do the next 3 years. And he signs a 3-year deal. That'd be my prediction. I can't see him leaving the Wild. I would love to be wrong and have him come to the Devils. I just don't think it's going to happen. Devils, then I'm pretty close, so getting down there is easy. Okay. Keep that in mind for a potential Toronto roadie. Actually, hold on. Let me check something else. There was a big card show there that used to get good autographed guests. I'd like to go there when there's something cool going on aside from just the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna have to look into this. I have wanted to go back to Toronto for a while. Benjamin Lunello in Cedar Grove is great. Haven't been there in years. My grandfather loved that place, and I went with him several times years ago, and it was very good from what I remember. Haven't been there recently, but I've heard good things. Richie, Billy G is going to lock up Quinn to a 3-year extension for $48 million right when Jack's contract expires. Could totally see that. David Chimes, how great is it when Jack scores on a slapper? One of my favorite Devils things. Yeah, it seems like he's been incorporating the slapper into his kind of repertoire a little more than we're used to seeing from him. I feel like we've seen it a few times in the past few weeks where for a guy that wasn't known for the slapper and you rarely saw him utilize it, he's been busting it out. And when he gets good connection, he has a decent slapper. The 5-star says, imagine having Stevens needs down on Rafalski than going to this. Oh, I don't have to imagine it. We're living it, my friend. We are living in it. Such good times when they were Devils. Yeah, we were a perennial playoff contender. Man, we were just so spoiled. And I knew it at the time, but you don't fully know how much the fall off is going to hurt. Like how the drop of just how much it really sucks. David S. Ace, do you say what's up to random strangers wearing Devil jerseys when you're out and about doing your thing, like say at a grocery store, for example? No. I will say I do not do that. The person, for me to do that, I'm trying to think about this. I have done it, but it's certainly not something I do regularly. And I will say in the past few months, and this was even as recent as a couple days ago, I have noticed people wearing more Devil shit. But I do think a lot of hockey, whether it's jerseys, hoodies, even hats, that people, especially in New Jersey, will kind of wear it as more of a fashion thing than like I'm a Devils fan. And I've run into that several times. I don't know. And so, yeah, I typically don't engage strangers in that way. I've had people come up to me when I've had Devils shit on and ask like, oh, are you a Devils fan? Which sounds like a crazy question, but you'd be surprised how many people I've asked that to. And they're like, not really. So, yeah, I typically don't do that. David Chimes, Devils are scoring more. Do you think Keefe changed the system? I have trouble telling. I was talking about that earlier. I would love to know if it was really a system tweak, if it's just guys playing looser because there's no pressure now that the season's over, I don't know. They're just shooting at a much higher percentage than they were for the majority of the season. I would love to know what exactly are the catalysts to this improvement. Doug, I mean, you take for granted what we had, and since Marty's retirement's been the dark ages, I was lucky enough to even see the 2012 run, even though we came up short. Yeah. The major difference or differences from then to now are just night and day. Doug says, wish I was cognitive for the glory years. It was a great time. It was a great time. I will never forget it. As all these other long-term fans will not. And those years are what made me a hardcore, diehard New Jersey Devils fan. Was a combination of the team doing well, all the players kind of living in the area, going to practices. It was the perfect storm of things to become just a hardcore Devils fan. Die hard. Good night, Austin. John says, just say, let's go Devils and walk away. Jay Snow, why is Kopitar considered a first ballot Hall of Famer and Patty isn't? Well, I don't know. I don't think he's a consensus first ballot. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not a first ballot. I mean, depending who else is on there. Yeah, I mean, Kopitar is going to have like 280-ish games more played than Patty, 40 more goals, a couple hundred more assists. He's going to have, a few hundred more points. I would say similar careers, but Kopitar's just got a little bit more of everything. Games played, points. And so I definitely think Kopitar gets in. That's not to say I don't think Patty's deserving, but I do think Kopitar will. You look at the numbers and Kopitar played longer. Yeah. Richie, you know how for the most part, if we're down 2-0, it's a loss. The Glory Day Devils, if we were up 2-0, the game was over. We were a big cruising Cadillac. It could not be stopped. 2-goal leads with the old squad was nearly a guarantee. Justin says, I want to look at my phone in the summer and it says Devils fire Tom Fitzgerald. Snow, back in the day, if the Devils scored 1 goal, there was a great chance they would win. Yeah, I mean, that was the difference of, a solid team that was battle-tested and one that's not. David S., if the Devils win 5 more games and make it 8 straight again, what would your reaction to that be? I mean, listen, I'd be happy, and I would say they really are going to tease us. But even winning 5 more games in a row, that would probably put them at best case to maybe 5 points out of a playoff spot, maybe 6 points. And so it's going to close the gap, but you're not leapfrogging all those teams. Snow, it's just so close, and Patty played before 2-line passing and the trap. I just think it's way closer. Patty just gets dismissed. Yeah, he kind of gets lost, unfortunately, in those, deep Devils teams with all those Hall of Famers. He kind of is like a second kind of rate character in the storyline of those teams. But, had Patty played on a different team his whole career, his point totals probably would be much higher. Metalander, apparently the game against Detroit last Sunday got record ratings for ESPN, the Jack Factor. Yeah, it's not only the Jack Factor. I think it's just, there's going to be an uptick in interest in hockey coming off of a historic gold medal winning run by Team USA. John Fay, if we can win 5 more games in a row and one of those games being the Canes, I'd be happy, but would already know our season is over. Doug, we would have to catch up to the Senators, and even they're out of it. Matthew E., who would the Devils play if they sneak into the playoffs? They're not sneaking into the playoffs. Doug, it's been cooked since the start of 2026, and the last 5-game losing streak was the nail in the coffin. It really was. Jay Snow, Patty did everything too. PK, power play, late game situations, nothing he couldn't do. No, very, very wise, dependable player in every scenario. Patty was a quintessential hockey player you could throw out there for anything. Legend. Absolute legend. And in the grand scheme of NHL, NHL history of the sport, is probably one of the more underappreciated, under kind of recognized guys. Chimes, Kopitar's way more deserving. Plays center, very two-way, 200 more points, but Patty deserves consideration. Doug says, just sweep the Rangers this year. This will be our cup. I could never be that excited for sweeping them. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong. And even, playing spoiler to some of these teams on playoff stretch drives and looking to solidify their playoff spot or potentially steal someone's playoff spot, to play spoiler would be fun. Matthew says they're getting in. I made custom playoff towels already. Oh, boy. Justin Smith, boy, we were spoiled back in the 90s. We certainly were. Yeah, Patty played with the legends. Exactly. So when people look at those Devils teams, like, oh, he had Marty and Stevens and Niedermeyer, the greatest goaltender of all time and 2 top 10 to 15 at worst case scenario defensemen of all time. To have all 3 of those guys simultaneously for years was just such a treat. I mean, we may never see anything like that ever again, and most likely not. I mean, it's just unfathomable levels of talent. What's going on, Maria? Coming to this late, got back from the game. Love seeing the Rags fans leaving like rats in their own building. Look at you, Maria, at MSG. You go. You go, Maria. Did you drive there or did you take public transit to go watch our beloved New Jersey Devils in enemy territories? Marty needs Stevens. David, seriously, team would need to turn this 3-game winning streak into a 17-game streak, breaking the NHL record to make the playoffs. Imagine, man. I it's just so I can't. I can get my mind to wander a little bit, but this is just way too far from reality for me to even remotely entertain it. David chimes, right now a 99 100 point playoff line in the East is looking likely. We can't lose a single point to get in. Yeah, when I made a video about this, this was probably going back at least a month. I think at that point I said the number I was comfortable using, I think I was doing my mathematics and calculations on like 98 points. It was either 96 or 98, but I think I was using 98. And that might not even be enough. Richie says, love the positive attitude, but you'll be using those towels to dry off your car. Oh, man. The 5-star says, Elias is our best forward ever, even if Kovy was better. I mean, if you're talking about totality of a career, it's an accomplishment, it's hands down Patrick Elias. If you're just talking about high-end level of play for like a season or two or a shorter time span, it's 100% Kovy, in my opinion. John Fay, anytime Jack scores against the Rangers on a good day, yeah, it really is. Maria, NJ Transit, cars in the shop replacing 2 axles. Damn. There's not many things that are more annoying to me than car troubles. Hopefully that all works out and you have no issues, Maria. But, man, have you ever gone to a game at the Garden before, Maria, or was this your first one? Meadowlander, a lot of Devils jerseys in the crowd. Yeah, that always seems to be the case. Obviously, people making the trip. A lot of, obviously, New Jersey natives or fans live in New York. I mean, no surprise there. Snow says, we used up all of our Hall of Famers too early, and we had so many of them come through the organization. Doug, last 2 games against the Rags, I told my friend to hammer Jack anytime goal and plus 1.5 points. Well, those are probably, I wonder what were the odds on those? At this point, they're probably not great odds because it's kind of expected to happen. Snow, it's crazy how we had all those players at the same time. Yeah. I tell people this all the time. And I knew it at the time, even as a kid. I was like, these guys are all legends. We'll most likely never see this collective type of talent ever again. But then when you see like the NHL top 100 list and you just, years and years go by and you're like, yeah, like literally the greatest goalie of all time and 2 top, at worst case, 15 defensemen of all time, all on the team at the same time. I mean, that is ridiculous. You're lucky to have one of those, to have either, an all-time great in net or a top 10, 15 defenseman of all time. We had the greatest goalie of all time and 2 top 15 defensemen in the history of the sport, all playing at once. Unbelievable stuff. Probably won't be replicated by any team, honestly. David S., for as long as Buffalo has been hot, I can't believe none of the hockey analysts are picking them to come out of the East. People still picking Carolina or Tampa. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sabres go on a run. I think a lot of people are probably chalking it up to some kind of fluke or something, but I don't think it is. Maria, we invaded them for once. Lots of Devils fans chanting. That's always good to see. Justin, beating the Rangers at MSG is so beautiful. I've seen a couple Devils wins at the Garden. It's been a very long time. It's been a very long time. Amagi, can't wait to be at the Garden on the 4th for the PWHL game. The roof is going to come off. What teams are playing in that one? Jay Snow, a lot of the Devils are in coaching now. Langenbrunner, Pandolfo, Elias, Gomer. Can we bring one back to NJ? I always want to bring back, and I get flamed for it a lot, but, call me nostalgic, call me a sucker, call me whatever. I always think there is value in bringing back guys from the glory years that care about this organization, that care about winning, and will go about trying to achieve success in the right way. Maria, first one. Every away game I've been to, we lost. This is my first away game win. Very nice. Thought I was a curse. Well, you were not a curse, Maria. You broke your winless road streak tonight. What better building to do it in than the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden? Richie, once we got Kovalechuk, I never thought I'd see anyone with the size of Arnott. Covey, the real Covey, was 10 times more skilled and got guys out of his way. Deadly from anywhere and big. Monster of a man. Monster of a man. Cannon blast, slapper. Could shoot the wrister, snipe, pick corners, come in with the breakaway moves. The man was a threat from everywhere, and it was an absolutely beautiful time to watch him in the red and black as a member of our beloved New Jersey Devils. The Kovalechuk era will always be remembered fondly by me. Robert, it was a 25-year run of excellence, and it's incredible how they've embedded that winning culture through all the players that came into that locker room. Are you talking about the old days? Amagi, Sirens versus Seattle Torn at MSG sold-out game. My $33 ticket is now worth like over $300. Sheesh. Come on, man. Tickets for a PWHL game are going for that much money? What has caused the is this like is this something related to the Olympics as well? David, on Buffalo, it's a lack of playoff experience. We had the third best record in the NHL in 22-23, but we're 50-50 versus Rags and underdogs against the Canes. Experience matters. Bolts more likely to win the division. Benjamin, we also had Lemieux, McKay, Ralston, Riche, McLean. Can't even type them all. Man, the supporting cast over the years were just a who's who of just amazing players, character guys, role players. Phenomenal stuff. Doug, just the pain of team sports. You might go a lifetime and never see your team win a championship. I mean, look at New York Jets fans and Maple Leafs fans. Yeah. (1987 to 2012), an incredible era of winning. Fitz could have messed up Stevens, Niedermeyer, and Bruin Dirk. Or that one I don't think could be messed up. They were that damn good. Amagi, the Olympics increased the draw along with them doing more and more takeover events throughout the Americas. Interesting. Benjamin says scalp those scenes and go to dinner. David S. A's throwback question. When Gomez left the Devils to go to the Rangers in 2006, did you forgive him or just stop liking him from that point on? I'm going to think about that. I'll be back 1 second. Run into the bathroom. I will be right back. I'll leave this up there for a minute. I'll be right back. Let me think about that. That's an interesting one. I think I know. I'll be back in a minute. Be right back. Throw out whatever else you got for me. Thoughts, comments, questions. But the Gomer one, that's a good one. It's a good question. Let me protect my eyes. Let me protect my retinas. They were Scotty Gomez. So when Gomer left in free agency, I was mad, but I will say I was like 21 at that time. As I got older, and the Gomer one's a good one too because he's not that much older than me. So, I mean, he's older than me, but not by a ton. For some reason, it was a little different. I think at that point, I was able to, when you're a kid, when guys leave, you're like, oh, screw that guy, whatever. Even, there's business and it's a business. All right. At the end of the day, these guys got to make the decisions that are the best for them, their families, their financial futures, all that stuff. So I was obviously bummed and kind of pissed when it happened, but I was a little more understanding of it at the time because for whatever reason, I think it was because of the proximity and age that I was like, well, what would I do if I was him? And in the end, it's like, listen, it sucks that it's your arch rival and all this, but if they're offering you that kind of money, that's going to improve your life. Like it's hard to, begrudge a guy for that because if you're being honest, you're like, you know what? Like, I would like to believe that if I was a professional player, I would want to stay with the team that drafted me and all this stuff. But in the end, it is a business. It was a shit ton of money the Rangers gave him. And I was like, I can't blame him. He took the money. And so don't get it twisted. I booed the ever-loving shit out of him in his first game back with the Rangers against the Devils. But I wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't feel the same way as I did when like Holik did it. The Holik one really stung me. The Holik one really broke my heart. 2-time Cup champ. He was a crash line guy. I loved Bobby Holik as a kid. I was younger when that one happened. So that one I was more angry about. And I guess that probably kind of primed me for the, future defections. So I didn't like him for a while, but time heals all wounds, and looking back at, all the guys that have left, it sucked that he left, but, he was a great Devil, gave us some great years, won Rookie of the Year in 2000 with winning the Cup, and then was part of that 2003 Cup team. And so, when you look back at Devils history, Gomer was always a favorite of mine, and I always loved Gomer. So, sucks, but it's part of the business. Snow, we really need size up front. Our forward group really lacks size. Yeah, we need some script, man. Get the script. Faces 14 hits. We could do better than that. Yeah, it just seemed like tonight was not the most physically engaging game. Gleason, Devils fans forgive everyone nowadays. Gomer at least played in our sweater again, but he knows what he did and never acted like it was a betrayal when it was. I mean, if it's a business decision, is that necessarily a betrayal? I mean, I guess you could paint it that way, but it's not that simple. Slabosaurus, Gomez going to the Rags felt like betrayal, but he got paid, so I get it. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Gleason, he told the story of how Colin White was not saying hi to him at a bar once until he went up to him. That's pretty funny. Back in all brunch. After Gomer went to the Rangers, I replaced the nameplate on my 23 jersey with Clarkson. That's a very nice recycle job. Gleason, any athlete is set for life if they have any intelligence. It's not life-changing between one deal and another. No, but you're talking about millions of dollars, you know. It's easy for you to say when you're not in the position. Benjamin, can I get a Mark Messier hate scroll? My greatest bud was a Rags fan. We used to chirp him. I called him the Crypt Keeper. I also used to bark, what a mess, EA, when they effed up. Metalander, it happened so many times before Gomer, McLean, Holik, we got used to it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. It's like after it happens the first couple times, you're kind of desensitized to it or, you know, better prepared for it. Snow, Gomer didn't betray us. He was making a decision for his family to get paid. That's kind of how I look at it. Metalander, Bruce Driver defected too. And Bruce has told that story. He wanted to stay with the Devils, but, you know, he had a little bit of a, not necessarily a battle, but, you know, him and Lou didn't agree on things, and he didn't want to move his family. And so the Rangers made sense for him at the time. Benjamin, it wasn't personal, son. It was just business. Eventually, Rangers traded Gomer to Montreal. Yeah, and he went through that real rough patch there, too. That was rough to see for him. He didn't score a goal for, like, eternity. And the Montreal media and fan base is just ruthless. He was getting tons of shit in the media and in the public eye. Jason, Lou almost let Patty walk to the Rangers. That's a crazy story, too, of how Patrick Elias almost became a New York Ranger. That would have been grotesque. That certainly would have been, to see Patty in a Rangers jersey would have broke my heart for sure. That would have been devastating. Devastating stuff. David asked, the Rangers signed him 7 years and then traded him 3 years in. Kind of shows the respect the Rangers organization really has towards him. I wouldn't necessarily. Again, it's a business, right? You know, they paid him the money. It didn't work out, and they moved on. Jason Patty would have hurt in a Rangers jersey. All right, I don't know anything else. Closing time. Oh, we made it 2 hours, Snow. Are you satisfied, Snow? Or am I going to get chirped some more? Maria, what? Maria, the regular season champions banner really is hysterical. Dolan is such a clown for that. To put up for a President's Trophy win, to put up regular season champions is one of the most clownish things I have ever seen a sports organization do. Even so many Rangers fans were like, this is embarrassing. I mean, my God, regular season champions. Gleason, I'm done with arguing this, but family line when choosing between 45 or 50 million irks me. You or me have to make decisions for family. Those guys already hit the lottery. I agree to some extent, but I think you're also minimizing the difference in some of these cases. I don't know that you're talking, you know, it was a difference between 45 or $50 million. It could have been. I don't remember all the details. When the money's somewhat close, then I do judge guys a little bit differently. But a lot of times you come to find out that the deals are wildly different, where it is major money difference. And you're like, how can you blame the guy? Now, if you're talking about, you know, 45 or 50 million over a long-term deal, then you could start to say, and again, we're easily just dismissing $5 million, right? A lot of people would be like, it's $5 million. And we're just kind of, you know, minimalizing it. But, you know, some of those ones you've seen guys take the, you know, the lesser contracts to stay on teams. And you look at what Florida this past offseason, everyone stayed for less than they would have got elsewhere. Marchand, Ekblad signed a super team friendly. And so guys do it. Jason said, I've been drinking 151 every week, and now you're in trouble. You're in training? Okay. Well, keep training. You're going to need it. 5-star Lou, never mind shipping people off. No, he did not. Benjamin, take care, Ace. Thanks for the effort. Probably see all you diehards Friday night, and we smoke the Capitals. Hopefully. All right, that's it, friends. We're done. Our beloved New Jersey Devils go across the river and lay a beating. Another beautiful beating on the New York Rangers. It never gets old. No matter how bad we are for the season, beating the Rangers is always a great time. A great time, so much fun. Jack Hughes continues to be on fire post-Olympics. And hopefully this team could just keep winning and keep it interesting. We'd like to see some little more physicality, a little more grit in the game. Would like to see it, but Devils win 6-3. What else do I have? Anything else here? No, back in action Friday in the nation's capital, taking on the Caps. Hopefully get another win and make it 4 in a row. Another 4-game winning streak potentially for this club. That's it, folks. Back soon. I got some things in the works. And that's it. I'm shot. That's it. Faded out. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.